Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Cancer for January 2019. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blog and other goodies there. Also, if you would love to have a live reading with me, you can check that out. And I'd love to give you my insights for the upcoming year and beyond and check into whatever things you've got on your minds. If you love how I teach and you resonate with that, then you will love my Astrology Apprenticeship program, which may be enrolling at this very second, depending on when you're watching this. So check that out at anniehelpsyou.com. I will love to help you learn astrology. So what's going on in this new month, in this new year? We've got a massive clean slate, just whoosh, clearing, cleaning, all scrubbing new. We've had a year of dominating retrogrades, and I'm sure you've been feeling that. Things moving backwards, slow, moving like molasses, uninspired. There may have been positive changes and movement, but at the same time, there's this cloak of retrogrades that we've been working with, but not anymore. This new year is a new year in all of the senses astrologically. So we're done with all of that retrograde constancy, and we've got not only that, but all of the planets are going to be going direct early in January until February 18th, which is amazing. It's rare that that happens, so lots of momentum, lots of forward movement, lots of changes, radical changes, last minute changes, surprise changes from the eclipses, things that have been expected, things that not have been expected. Some things you've worked for will show up in a big way, other things will just put you on a totally different track. This is particularly potent for Cancer placements because in this month we do have a Capricorn eclipse, which is in the polarity of Capricorn Cancer. So we're in the midst of a Capricorn Cancer polarity of eclipses for a while now. So this is a lot, it's a lot of change. It started in the middle of 2018. In the December report, I talked about the Capricorn eclipse, and now in this report and where that hit for Cancers, and now I'm going to talk about the second eclipse of the month, what it is, where Cancers will expect to see that in the arenas of their lives, and what other things I see for Cancers. And not only will I talk about what I see, I will show you the visual because I've been having such great feedback from having the visual charts that I'll show you the early, middle, and late degree placements, what the scene looks like for this month and beyond for you. So let's transition into those charts. Also, after the Cancer report, I'll talk about the general transits, including my favorite launch dates of the month. Some of them for the year are in January, and I'll tell you the dates to watch out for that are a little dicey that you need to be extra careful around. So we'll cover all of this in the visuals now. Hello, Cancer friends. Okay, so if you're still with me, that means you're interested in looking at the breakdown for early, middle, and late degree placements and having the chart visuals for the energetic astrological potentials that are present for this month and beyond. So the first thing we have to do in order to go in deeper, which is my favorite thing to teach astrology, is to figure out if you're an early, middle, or late degree placement. So if you are a June born Cancer, we're estimating here, but it's close enough. June born is early, and if you know your sun or rising or moon degree, 0 to 9 degrees is early. Then middle is like July 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees for your rising or moon, or if you know your sun degree. And then late is around July 11th on. Sometimes I get the question, also 20 to 29 degrees. Sometimes I get the question, like if you're on the 11th, am I middle or late? It's not as important what you call yourself as it is just understanding that when I say middle, late, you're going to be at that later point. What your exact designation isn't as important as just understanding where you are. If you're middle and very close to late, or late and very close to middle, it's probably easier to just call it late, because the chart will probably look more similar to the late. Okay. So if you didn't catch that, then please help my assistant and I out by rewinding it and going back to figure out if you're early, middle, or late, because we are swamped with questions and we try to answer everybody nice. Anybody who is nice, which is most people, fortunately, We try to give them responses if we can. But for something like whether you're early, middle, or late, if you can figure it out from the video, we would really appreciate that. All right, so there are quite a few things I want to talk about here, but I want to answer a question that is very common. Okay, so someone who is watching for their sun sign, it's very simple. Okay, you're watching for your sun sign. Sometimes I have the question, Annie, you're talking about certain houses being aspected, and when I look at my natal chart with my transit, why is that not matching up to the houses I see in my chart? Very common question, very good question. It means that people are trying, and I love that. So that is because when we do a horoscope, we put the sun on the ascendant. It's called a solar chart. Now, in your natal chart, unless your sun sign is the same as your rising sign, so like in this case, if you have Cancer sun and Cancer rising, you're not going to have the sun as your ascendant. Your rising sign in your natal chart is usually going to be something different. And if it is something different, then if you watch for your rising sign, the houses that we talk about as being highlighted for that sign will match up with your transit chart, because it's a transit chart to your natal, and your natal puts your ascendant on the ascendant, not your sun on the ascendant. See, it's a different kind of chart. That's why it doesn't match up and why it won't match up. But it is equally as relevant, equally as accurate. So the way that I describe this is that, and this is important, if you're not interested in this piece, just fast forward through it because we're going to get to some good Cancer stuff. But I get this question often enough that I know it's going to really open a lot of people up for some important answers, okay? So when you watch for your sun sign, watch an astrology report for your sun sign and then also watch for your rising sign, you are getting a glimpse out of two different windows in the house that is your experience, okay? So we'll put a wall here and just say that this, on this house, you see, I always like to say mountains, okay? So you see mountains out that window, and that's true. And then out this window, maybe you have a stream. Sounds like a nice place to be. Okay, so the view out this window with the stream has different things going on than the mountain view, but they're both happening at the same time, and they're both just as accurate expressions or explanations or descriptions of what you have as an experience of living in that house. Okay, so you are the house, and with putting different things for the viewpoint, which is the rising sign point in the chart, you're getting a view out your solar chart window, which is accurate, and you're getting a view out of your rising sign window, which is just as accurate. They're just different. They're different views out of the same experience. Okay, and for some people, they watch for their moon sign too. That's a lot for me to keep track of myself. I also tend to be cuspy, so that increases things. But if you're watching for your moon sign, maybe there's a road over here and there's cars going, and that's happening at the same time. So these different viewpoints, they're just like views out of the complex, multifaceted experience that we're having. All right, so now that we have that all cleared up, we can talk about what's going on for Cancer. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about now is the energy of Capricorn. Okay, because as the sun and then soon Mercury moves through all the placements in Capricorn, it's opposing, making a 180-degree angle to your Cancer placements. So in the months that the sun is moving and Mercury moves through the Capricorn placement, and then eventually Venus will get there after a while, you're having oppositions happen to your placement. And usually oppositions quite simply mean overstimulation, being pulled in two different directions. It's this and it's this, and it's this and it's this. In this case, a lot of times it's work stuff and it's home stuff. It's family stuff and it's that stuff out in the world. In many cases, it'll be your stuff and your relationship stuff. That's for the Cancers. That's what this push and pull around this time of year is really representing. And it happens, every year around this time of year. So it can feel challenging. You have to rest more. You have to take your supplements more. Goodness, it sounds like a plane is landing in my room. Sorry about that. So you just have to, guard from being overstressed and overexhausted at this time. That's the first very simple thing I wanted to look at. If you haven't already listened to my December report, then definitely do that, because I talk about the first eclipse in January, which is January 5th. It's an eclipse in Capricorn. And that is continuing the Cancer eclipse, Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycle that started in the middle of 2018. That's particular relevance for Cancers. Can't fit it all in because of the details I go into in this report, and you do often feel eclipses early. So I talked about that one in December. So to get a good picture of the month as far as the eclipses go, you really need to watch the December and January report. Because in this report, we're going to talk about the last Leo. It's almost 1 degree of Leo. The last Leo eclipse in the Leo Aquarius cycle that has been going since 2017 through now 2019. The last time we experienced this energy was 2008 and 2009. So the storylines over the last couple of years, all of 2017, all of 2018, bringing us into the beginning of 2019, may have had some similar stories, echoes from the past, similar feelings, similar themes as in this time period. Sometimes things you started at this point in 2008, 2009 could be brought to a deeper level, or a new chapter in the areas of life that were accentuated can be begun. But regardless of what it is, it's ending now. This is the end of it. So everybody, all signs, has extra energy of completion, fruition, drama, milestones with children, with creative projects, with romance, romantic relationships. For some people, it will be addictions, hobbies, fun, things culminating in an exciting way from the energy of Leo. But we will look to see which houses these will accentuate for each of the Cancer placements. So in general, we're talking about the full moon. Okay, full moons always bring more emotion anyway. And then when you have a super moon, like this moon is, it's closer to the earth, so it's bigger. Then you have even more emotion. Okay, and then the fact that it's an eclipse, you can probably see where I'm going with this next, is going to have more emotion. Okay, so it's a very emotional full moon. Dramatic endings or things coming to fruition, culmination, people or things being eclipsed out of your life, or chapters with certain people being eclipsed out and new chapters beginning. Very likely, I always say leave some space around the full moon to just kind of feel. Generally, Cancers are really good at that. I don't have to get you guys on as much as I do some of the other signs, because you just can't help but focus on your feelings, which is really good spiritual practice. Others of us have to really, sit with that, and so making that space is just a really good idea, so that whatever comes up, you can be there with it and not have a bunch of stuff to do. I don't like to schedule stuff by full moons, especially eclipses, if you can help it. Of course, life has to go on, right? Okay, so for you late degree placements, no, actually we'll start with the early degree placements, you're likely going to have that happen in the second house. For you middle degree placements, it's going to be on the line there, so you can have first or second house manifestations. And for you late degree placements, it's going to be in the first house. So that means for some of the middle and all the late, this focus is, the first house, the physical body, your image, what you call yourself, what you think of yourself as, what you put yourself out into the world. Sometimes for some people this could be a health crisis. For some people it could be a health breakthrough. This could be, getting on and staying on an amazing regimen. This is an amazing month for making commitments and doing long-term things for your health, and also getting yourself out in the world in a bigger way. So this is a great launching time. For some of you middle and you early, you might be feeling this in the second house. And the second house is the house of finances. So endings of how you make money, closing of chapters or coming to fruition, like something you've been working on as far as making money, making more, accomplishment. Some people, it will end an income stream or change an income stream. But for other people, it will bring something in because there was a breakthrough or something occurred, and now they have a new clean slate for income. But it is very often having to do with material things. If you don't have good insurance on your luxury or expensive items, be really careful around this time. I mean, this isn't as much for the late degree placements, but at eclipse time, you should just always be extra careful with these things anyway for everybody. But luxury items and expensive things sometimes can take a hit, literally, or have some sort of problem during the eclipse. Sometimes there's drama around a material item. Some people will move along the lines of more sustainability and, some kind of sustainability project, or trying to live more in tune with the earth will come up as a topic here. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Cancers this month. Now I want to tell you about my favorite dates for launches, for doing anything important, for important commitments, give you dates to look out for so that you're aware of some of the more sketchy energies this month. There's a lot of intensity from the eclipses. We also have some squares with Mercury that I want to give you the dates for. And then some of my favorite dates of the whole year are actually in this month as well. So let's look at the general transit chart. Okay, so now let's talk about the general transits. There are lots of important dates to note, and I'm going to go into the specifics of those now. The theme of the month for all signs is radical new chapters and wide open stars. As I mentioned before, this is truly the energy of a new year. It can be a very clean slate. We've had a year of retrogrades, pretty much focusing on the personal planets retrograde, and this is like a really huge clean slate time. So lots of old patterns, lots of old programming, lots of old ways of being, brilliant new chapters opening. There are so many reasons why there's so much newness. So not only are we free finally from the personal planet retrogrades and their post-shadow periods, as of January 6th, we also have all of the planets, including the outer planets, going direct. So this is a very rare occurrence, and these wide open stars will last until February 18th. So it is important to note, however, that even though we have all this energy from momentum and moving forward, we do actually have quite a few astrological clashes this month. So as far as trying to do important things or move forward, there are definitely going to be clashes and impediments, but still the general energy is just very open, and many things that we've been working on can really manifest at this time in a really huge way. So we talked at length about the eclipses. Besides the fact that the eclipses are happening, bringing in new chapters, ending old chapters, and then also besides the fact that the planets, will be all going direct, also the first 3 full moons of 2019 are all supermoons, and they occur at the first degree of their respective sign, which brings even more energy of a clean slate and the instigation of many new experiences and ways of being, opportunities, trajectory changes, and other new beginnings that we have really sought after, or some that arise as a surprise. I often get the question, what is a supermoon? So the supermoon is when the moon is at its closest possible point to, or very, notably close. You ever notice those moons where you're like, gosh, the moon looks really big. Like, whoa. Like that. Then that often is because the moon is actually closer to us. That's why it looks bigger. So when this coincides with the full moon, then it's called a supermoon. Okay, so supermoons definitely carry some similar energy to the eclipses in the way that there's more power behind the full moon. So more things coming to fruition and then opening up. Basically things coming to a major climax and new things beginning. So powerful endings, powerful beginnings are definitely a theme that we're having from the eclipses and the supermoons. So I'm going to go into details about transits that I want you to be very aware of. And do note that if you want a written version of the general transit report a month early delivered to your inbox, then go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you'll get this this information in writing and more. So I list all the transits that are most noteworthy, along with some information about what you can expect. So I won't go through all of them in this video, but if you sign up for my free email newsletter, then you'll be able to see access to them. And a lot of people really like that for planning, because you can see when the dicey transits are, like right there written in front of you, not just hearing it on the audio. Also, if you are planning travel, check out my monthly travel astrology reports on my site, astrologykisstravelbliss.com. And if you like written horoscopes from me, then go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. Okay, so those all will give you tons more information about the transits, how you can best use the energies. So, like I mentioned before, there are quite a few clashes this month, and there's some energy that I would call very sobering. And this is typical of this time of year when aspects get together in the sign of Capricorn. It's kind of very, it's very realist. It's like kind of sometimes time to pay the piper, after the Sag transits of just kind of freedom loving. Now this is the time to get organized, get your taxes together, figure out the financial aftermath from the holidays, So it can come with some sobering or even challenging news, reality checks, but this energy is also fantastic for trying to drill long-term things in to your reality. So like on the 1st and the 2nd, we've got the Sun getting together with Saturn in this Capricorn. This Capricorn energy is the kind of, I don't want to make it mad, but we'll call it concerned energy, where you're like, okay, we really have to get down to business here. So that energy will last a few days, and then there's a square with Mercury. So on the 3rd, and then also again, we have, let's see, on the 8th, and then again on the 23rd. So January 3rd, January 8th, and January 23rd, we have squares with Mercury. So expect on those days possible impediments to movement, some, minor speed bumps, challenges with communication. Could feel like a mini Mercury retrograde. So whenever Mercury gets together in the form of a square, it can cause those challenges. So it's going to, Mercury still in Sag is going to come and square, let's see, Chiron. Then it's going to come and square Mars. Then it's going to come and square Uranus over the month. Okay, so particularly that one on the 8th and then the one on the 23rd. So 1, 8, 1, 23. Be extra careful with your physical body and with driving. And, these are the kind of transits that I say, really look out as you're texting. I'm hoping that everyone would just stop texting while they're driving or riding a bike or walking in busy areas. But since I know that's not going to happen, I at least can give you the warning that in the days around those days, there are more chances for accidents, verbal communication accidents, and also physical body and vehicle, and with your devices, like dropping them in the toilet, things that would impede your communication through something happening to the device. So just be really careful around those days, extra so. And always remember that I give you the dates of the transits, but the days that we can experience the transits are often before or after the actual transit, because all of the transits have these orbs of energy. So something happens on this day, sometimes we feel that over here or on the day or some point after, because the range of influence of a transit has an orb, and the orb is dependent upon the planets involved. So, from a day to 4 or 5 days, if we're talking about things with the personal planets, before or after. Okay. That's why I say don't hang your hat too heavily on an exact date. You have to more tune in to the feeling. If there's going to be a sweet aspect, and there are going to be quite a few, which I'm going to have you note here, then if you're feeling the vibes in the days before, you don't have to wait till the exact day of the aspect. If you want to lock something in or do something important, then definitely follow your personal flow, how you're personally experiencing the transits. Okay, one more challenging date of note, and there are actually more that I'm listing, but again, you can go to anniehelpsyou.com and see more about those details. But on January 13th, we have the first of 3 passes of Jupiter in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so let's look at that here. So Jupiter is here. Neptune is here. Now, also a reminder, I know I've talked about this before, but I want to remind you, when we're talking about general transits, these are for everybody. I tack the general transits at the end of the individual reports. So the general transit that you hear for each sign will actually be the same for all signs. I do that for your convenience, so you just listen to it right after your sign-specific report. When we're talking about the general transits, these houses that these aspects are occurring in don't matter. Okay, we're just looking at the relationship between the planets and not the houses. To understand the houses, that's going to be different for each sign. So just kind of ignore, that's why I've scribbled this out over there. All right, so anytime outer planets get together, they're generally talking about a long-term theme. Okay, so this on January 13th is the first of 3 passes, with the second being on June 16th. And then the third and last being on September 21st. And these are all in 2019. Okay, so it's very well indicated to avoid being overly optimistic at this time, and definitely to avoid risk-taking behaviors that may have worked in the past. This is a time when the expansive nature of Jupiter, it just wants to go big, is kind of put into a challenging angle by this energy of disillusionment or confusion or uncertainty or chaos. And I always see these kind of aspects as nice checks and balances that we have from the universe, because we've been on this big expansion spree since Jupiter has gotten into Sagittarius. And we will continue this for most of 2019, where the energy, is in an expansion mode. Even when Jupiter is in retrograde, which isn't yet, but even during that time, there's this story of expansion is really strong, because Jupiter is in the sign that it rules, which it's very excessive in that place. So, in the weeks around the 13th, June 16th, June 21st, these hot spots will last weeks at a time. Just be really careful. It's not always the best time to take risks unless you're intuitively inclined, for sure. The odds are more in favor of disappointment now than triumph. I see a positive way to look at this transit, as it helps to show the limits of the expansion that is occurring, because we can't just keep expanding indefinitely in all areas without having a rest or having a check-in or checking sustainability for the things we've, expanded into. It's very helpful for us to have this okay, let's take a step back and evaluate and prepare for future expansion by seeing, if we can manage what we've already done. So we need to have form and structure. We need to have structure to be in form. And so the energy, being very upward moving, this is a time when we're kind of settling into the new norm and taking a break from the frenetic pace of increase. And actually doing that purposely can be a sweet way to avoid lessons from this. Okay, so now let's talk about the juicy stuff. All right, let's get this out of here. I want to talk about my favorite aspects of the month. There are quite a few nice aspects this month, but most of them are coupled with challenging aspects on the same days. So there's kind of this sweet and salty going on a lot of the month. But towards the end, put a gold star around the 22nd. Okay, on January 22nd, Venus, where are you, buddy? All right, so Venus is going to come and get together with Jupiter. So put a big star on the days around this. Now, there are some other aspects around those dates that could be manifesting that could have more challenge. But in general, Venus ruling love and beauty and money and self-esteem, is going to get together with the great expander. So anytime we have a personal planet, especially Venus or Mercury or the Sun, getting together with Jupiter, it usually means like really good news involving money or love, sweet spot, something gelling, money coming in, just something really, really excellent. So I just love, love, love that day. Now, if you have to do something business-wise, like launching something, oh my gosh, I really love this time. And if it happens to be in anything having to do with Sagittarius efforts, even better. So like teaching, learning, speaking, publishing, writing, spiritual pursuits, church-related things, travel, long distance, different countries, different cultures, different languages. There's even more support around those kind of things coming in, news and other things. But you can definitely use it purposely to lock in some good energy. One of those squares I warned you about with Mercury is on the 23rd. So Mercury squaring Uranus. So just, that's going to be happening at the same time. So if things are weird that exact day, don't, just follow your intuition. But I definitely love the energies of this Venus aspect. Now, the two last sweet aspects that are my favorite this month, they're even better in some ways because they're not clouded by another challenging aspect that's kind of stealing some of their thunder. Okay, so let's get that out of there. So on the 25th, we're going to have Mars in Aries trining Jupiter in Sag. Gosh, this little pen is hard to write with. Okay, so Mars, there he is, and Jupiter are going to come together and be in our favorite trine configuration. Okay, and when that happens, that's the sweetest of all astrological aspects. So this is one of my favorite aspects of the month and even the year. Because trines with Jupiter are just awesome. So it's a great day for important things. If your intuition is in agreement and the synchronicities seem to line up, I love this for like launch dates, moving forward, making decisions, and it should be relatively clear from that other aspect that happened on the 23rd, or at least it's diluting. All right, so that's put a sweet spot, sweet gold star there. And then the last aspect is on the last day of the month that I love, love, love. You can see that the end of the month is kind of more clear in some ways from the general mischief of the month. Also, the eclipses will have happened, so some more clarity might be coming in about those directions. So on January 31st, we have a beautiful Saturn in Cap sextile Neptune in Pisces. Okay, where's our buddies there? Saturn and Neptune. Okay, so sextile is a 60-degree angle, beautiful aspect. And again, like our other aspect that we were talking about with Jupiter squaring Neptune, that's an outer planet challenging aspect. We talked about the implications of that. But this similarly will have 3 passes. Okay, so January 31st is the first pass. The second one is June 18th of 2019, and then the third is November 8th. All right, so on these days, this energy of material gains coming from spiritual focus and pursuits is very strongly brought into the picture. And again, it's like the weeks around this time. So it can also manifest as any beautiful blending of the lesser seen plus the more tangible realms. So this is like a nice bridge time when people who are doing work on the inner planes, doing work with the law of attraction, doing work with, on the levels that are hard to see. Like you could be working really hard and what we call normal people around you, right, who don't understand what you're doing, might say, everything looks the same in your life. And you say, oh, well, I'm really working. Things are really shifting on the inside. These transits are times when things that you've done on the inner realm can really manifest in a big way. They're like really good affirmations and confirmations that you're on the right track and that inner work really does work. So I love ending off the month with that kind of awesomeness. And also if you have to plan something important, that is a super sweet aspect to lock in. When you're doing something important, the day you do it on is like a birthday in many cases, depending on what it is. And then that chart, whatever's going on that day, gets locked into the story of what you're doing. That's why doing things, on good dates can be very helpful to the long-term outcomes of what you're trying to do, because you lock in good energy, and then that carries, that goes with it for the whole venture. So if you'd like to have a written version of this every month, a month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com. If you are already on my email newsletter list and you're not receiving my emails, I send them out religiously. So definitely check your spam, social, events folders. And if you find them there, move them into your inbox to give your email the alert, like, hey, I want these in my general inbox, because I'm definitely sending them. So if you're not getting them, then contact my customer service team and definitely first look in those other inboxes. So I hope you love the added effects of the visuals, and definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about booking a private reading with me. I can tell you more about what's coming in the next year from the astrological perspective and all kinds of other things. Also, if you resonate with how I teach and you would love to learn with me, my astrology apprenticeship program is registering now. So definitely check out my website for details about my astrology apprenticeship program. Also, in the beginning of January, my coach certification and online business course will be registering. I have horoscopes and lifestyle blogs, including astrology for wellness blogs, at cozybysweetstarlight.com. And if you're a traveler, check out my astrology travel reports on my website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. If you're interested in tarot, you can check out my husband's site. Plus, he also has other information about astrology and some pretty cool offerings. You can check out his website, BR Newman, at iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.